All right, so we are in the middle of Slashtober now. Of the
Yeah.
the three movies that we always cover, and it's made me realize we are entering, well, have entered now, the third whole ass year of the podcast. I think I'm about to sneeze. Give me a second here. That's not happening. That's very annoying. Okay.
Rip, dude.
So since we're entering the third year of the podcast now, I don't know about all of you, but I have stated some opinions on this podcast in the last few years that I would like to publicly rescind now. I've got three. Two dead guys that
Oh,
I've been
okay.
beefing with, and one movie that I was really unfair to. Crimson Peak. I think I was wrong about just about everything that I said when we covered it. I was incredibly unfair to it, and I would like to revisit it at some point to try and figure out how I actually feel about it. Also, just
Okay.
Donald Pleasance and Roger Ebert. I no longer hate either of them. I like both of them. Yeah.
I'm so
Wow.
excited
Wow.
for my Ebert reveal in this episode.
Yeah. In
What a
addition to that,
turnaround.
just the more I watch those first couple Hellraiser movies, I enjoy them more and more.
Yay.
I still think the
Converted you
second
to
one
the
is very
dark side.
firmly not good, but I
No.
do enjoy it more.
Noah's like emotional arc really good.
Noah
Um,
is seething.
I'm so excited to. No, he's just sad.
Seething with sadness.
I'm excited to watch the other
Oh,
old
man.
sequels. I think it'll be fun.
I also am excited for you to watch those because they suck.
I still haven't
ass.
seen any other than the first one, and then I read the book, and then I watched the new one. And I think that those three together are really, really strong, having seen nothing else. If I could just, like, oh, I have seen the first movie, I've read the book, I've watched the new one. If that was my only Hellraiser experience, it, like, full stop, it would be one of my favorite horror franchises
Oh,
just
yeah.
from that. So I'm excited to kind of just like lower my expectations by a few degrees and get into the
Yeah.
sequels. Because I want to remind you guys that the first time Noah came to visit me in Seattle, I took him to the Pop Culture Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a horror exhibit. And man sees the lament configuration they have on display, and he goes over and he's like, "Oh my god!" And then he's like, "Ah, it's from Inferno."
Inferno, frustratingly enough, is one of the better sequels, but it's still
Damn.
bad.
What number one is that?
Yeah, they don't all have
Um,
numbers.
Is it the fifth?
Fifth installment in a series is rarely good.
Yeah. Oh shit, I'm good at this.
Oh, man, you're
Nice.
so smart.
Hellraiser expert Noah.
New Hellraiser is not on the list yet when you Google Hellraiser.
I wonder
Interesting.
if because it is a wow.
But
I wonder if it's because it's a reboot of the series. Maybe they didn't add it onto the end yet.
Oh,
I guess,
yeah.
but is it the first reboot ever? None of
Of
these other
Hellraiser?
ones are reboots?
No, it is the first canonical like series wipe.
Is it a
Huh.
series wipe though? Because apart from like there being like new designs and shit, like are we sure that none of the other movies have happened in the universe of the new
Yes.
one?
Hi. I have watched all of these movies.
Yeah.
Every
So
one
I
of
wanna
these
know.
movies is technically connected.
Okay.
The funny thing is Hellraiser 4 has a segment that takes place like a few hundred years in the future, so it's technically also the end of the series.
1996. That's my birth year.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's one of the worst. It's the worst one is Hellraiser Deader, and I don't know why people rank Hellworld as worse than Deader because I have never been able to make it through Hellraiser Deader from start to finish in one viewing. It is so boring. It is so slow. It's so bad. Whereas at least Hellworld is terrible but fun.
Okay.
Anyway,
So I think that's a good time to launch into gabbing the ghouls.
Let's
So
gab
let's
some
just let's
ghouls.
Sounds
just
like it, yeah.
let's talk about some Hellraiser first. Since we are already talking about Hellraiser.
big fan.
Um,
Big fan.
I loved it. I have not in the first one. I'm not really into the original Pinhead all that much. Like I think he's a really cool character, but I don't really like have any like big strong feelings about him.
Okay.
All disrespect intended to the rest of the Hellraiser movies. But Pinhead gets a lot more like
Sexy?
personality
Oh,
in
okay.
those. No, not sexy, just personality. In the first
How
three,
could he get more
changes
sexy?
a lot. Because he's kind of a stick in leather
I
that just
mean-
kind of stands in the corner and says, "You opened it, we came."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And we're about to come again.
Uh,
True. True.
I don't know. I mean, I
Um,
always felt like he emoted as much as he was supposed to. Like, there's moments where he displays some feelings, but
yeah.
Yeah,
like I always felt like it was
And
appropriate for the
oh,
context.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
but to clarify, I mostly bring that up in the sense of everyone is saying that Jamie Clayton's Pinhead was emotionless and just kind of
People are
didn't do anything and stood
incorrect.
there,
Yeah, people are
which
fucking
is
stupid because that's wrong. That
crazy.
is a
That's look
blatantly
at
wrong
th-
take.
did they not catch her like facial expressions? Because I was
God.
looking at sorry, I bumped my mic. I was looking at her face the whole time, and the way that she like was clearly like the character of Pinhead was also clearly having the time of her life.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Well, and like also just her voice, the tone in her voice for so many of her
Oh
lines.
my
Like,
God, the difference between when she's having a great time and then at the end when someone makes a choice she disagrees with
yeah,
and
and she's like
there's like
offended.
this she's offended. You can tell she feels a little bit bad for the person making the decision.
Yeah.
There's like a lot going on in just how she like talks to that person. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I
The way she
liked
talks to
this
everybody.
Pinhead. All of the
Yeah.
Cenobites, I loved the like way that they were just clearly having a great time.
Right? They're so cool. So well
I saw them.
acted.
For
Like,
for a reboot, I wish I liked the new Hellraiser, but I wish
Mhm.
that I feel like there wasn't really enough Pinhead to like differentiate her from the other Cenobites.
oh, you don't think so?
I feel like we almost got more of the Gasp, I think the
Mhm.
name is, than Pinhead.
Mhm.
And it felt a bit weird. I'm like, I feel like Pinhead should have been highlighted a
I
bit more.
think they were
But
trying to save her for last because she had a lot of stuff going on at the very end of the movie where she was having full conversations with
Yeah.
people. The gas mostly like there was a couple scenes that I think were trying to build up, but like I keep misremembering one of the torture scenes as being the gasp when it was in fact Pinhead.
Mm.
In the back of the van, that one scene.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, "Oh, that's the gasp as well," because it's very similar to the scene in the hospital.
Mm.
But it's not as Pinhead.
Well, and that's
So
the one that's
it-
like set up with the asphyx as well, right?
I
Mhm.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
I love
what
the asphyx. Oh, holy
some of
shit.
what
They're
this
so
movie
good.
was doing was what the first Hellraisers kind of tried to do
Mm.
of having all of them be an entity of their own
Yeah, all present
with a leader,
personalities. Yeah.
which I feel like this new one definitely showed that each Cenobite was more of a like they had a lot more autonomy while still all following the same goal,
Mm.
which is not something that can be said for later Hellraiser sequels where it is just the Pinhead show starring Pinhead.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I think it helps highlight them as a force of nature as well, especially with like certain scenes with Chatterer that I really enjoyed.
Ooh,
Oh, I
yeah.
love this new Chatterer. It
Chatterer
was
is
a
very
very
cool.
good take on Chatterer.
Yeah.
Very pleased.
But yeah, no, I in conclusion on my end, 10 out of 10. Not 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think that there's like moments that are kind of like slower, but genuinely, like overall, I really, really liked most of what they did.
Yeah.
I give it an 8 out of 10, which I think I gave the first one a 9, if my memory serves me correctly. I don't know if I like it more than the second Hellraiser, but it's definitely, if it's not in my top 2, it's in my top 3.
Nice.
This one has a lot of like little peripheral stuff that I really like as well, though. Like other than the Cenobites and stuff, like the like summoning room in that house that has like the cage built onto it and everything. I fucking love the way that shit looks. It looks like a
Yeah.
I
room out
love
of an
the
Argento movie or
designs.
something, and I'm watching a lot of Argento movies lately, so like I'm like all
Unfortunate.
in for that shit. I think I would also give it like an 8 or a 9 probably. Like I the one complaint that I've been seeing from people is that it doesn't have enough sexual energy for a Hellraiser movie. I think that's a
get it.
decent complaint.
I guess it depends on what you're into. In
Yeah,
my
sure, yeah.
opinion,
I mean,
like I feel like there's plenty
there's certainly more
going on
directed
there.
focus on the actual like torture and stuff than you see in the first two movies, and I like that a lot. One complaint that I have in terms of how it actually interfaces with the whole Cenobite mythos is something that like maybe I shouldn't get into right now because it's to do with like the final scene of the movie and the
Yeah, this is just
Yeah.
Gavin
Yeah.
the Ghouls.
Yeah,
we don't want to go
we shouldn't
too
get into
much
that
into
We'll
right
have
now.
to
I'll
do
talk
an
about
This
this
is
actual
in
episode
reviewing
on
the
it.
yeah,
This is
Cenobites.
all
later.
about quick reviews. Or
Yeah,
that's
later
what it's supposed
Hellraiser
to be.
discussions, I will get into that, but I'm giving it an 8 or a 9. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Hell
I
yeah.
loved so much of the subtle design stuff, like
Mm.
the way they did the lament configuration and the different
I love
steps
it.
and the way they made the name of the lament configuration even just make more sense within
Yeah.
this one.
Mhm.
And just all of everything to do with how that worked, I
Love
really
it.
enjoyed. But yeah,
Love
Emma.
it.
I liked the lament configuration. I liked that we saw so many Cenobites. It was a fun time,
Mhm.
Yeah.
fun movie all around. I've got some problems with it that I don't want to talk about too much because they're spoilers, but
Right.
Yeah.
I'd give it like a 7.5, I think.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I enjoyed it. I'm excited for potentially another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these reviews are leaving me
Absolutely.
smiling.
Shut the
Oh my
fuck
gosh.
up.
A movie I haven't seen yet, so I can't even talk
Yeah,
about
what?
it.
It's just
Heyo.
me and Emma who've seen Smile here, right?
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay.
That's true. So Smile, it for those of you who aren't aware, is a movie that was originally supposed to be straight to Paramount Plus, just like a little fun horror movie, but then
Ah.
test audiences were really enjoying it, and so they decided to shift their whole marketing strategy for the movie and everything and give it a theater run, and they had some really inventive marketing where they'd have people at baseball games just kind of like sitting in the stands smiling throughout the entire game.
I did love that.
I thought that was
And
really cool.
just-
That's the reason I went and saw it. That's just cool
Yeah.
marketing.
And it's just fun. The movie itself, I think it's definitely a jump scare heavy horror film. So if you're not a fan of jump scare horror, or that's not what you're looking for in a horror movie, probably not for you.
Yeah.
But I think it reflects a lot on kind of mental health and mental health conversations and horror
Yeah.
in like a pretty interesting way, I think. And I personally really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were good. The acting was very well done.
Yeah.
And I think the end is a bit divisive, but I really enjoyed it for what happened. I would give it like an 8 out of 10, probably. Real solid time.
Okay.
How YouTubey does it feel in the
Ooh.
sense of like I feel like a lot of jump scare horror movies they're not like because what do you call Would You Rather doesn't
Mhm.
feel like a thing made by YouTube people, but it feels YouTube-y. You know what I mean?
And I feel
I
like
think I know what you mean.
Oh,
So
sorry, movies made that like Mr. Gigi would like review is like the vibes that I get from that kind of thing.
not what I mean. I don't know.
Okay.
I would describe it as
So-
being pretty Blumhousey.
Okay.
See,
while I was watching it, I was constantly thinking like if this was a straight to streaming movie and I was watching this, what would my thoughts be? And there are a lot of streaming movies that just kind of come out on various streaming services where I'm watching it and nothing's really blowing me away. Like none of the shots or anything are super inventive or like high production or anything. And I'm just like, yeah, it makes sense that this is a streaming movie.
Yeah.
But I think the way this movie was shot and the way it looks are personally, I thought it looked really, really incredible.
Very clean.
Very clean. There's some really inventive shots they do. There's
That's
some
true.
really in the third act, they have kind of a person you see that I really enjoyed the way that they kind of approach that. I don't want to say too much, but I'm hoping I'm hinting enough that
Yeah.
Jeff will pick up what I'm putting down.
I think I know what you're saying. I am very much not a jump scare horror person. Like I don't mind a jump scare here and there if the movie like sets it up appropriately, and I don't know how I can define appropriately. Like I
Mhm.
feel like there are a certain number of steps that a movie can take to earn a jump scare, and when the primary driving force of the movie is jump scares like it is in Smile, I tend to feel like it's just kind of bullshit.
Mhm.
I don't believe Smile to be wholly bullshit. I would give it like a 5. I think it's thoroughly kind of mid just because it's a cool idea executed in a way that I just really hate. like like I don't like jump scare centric horror movies because if I'm seeing it in a theater, big loud noises startle me kind of easily. I'm not a fan of that
Mhm.
kind of thing because it ruins my immersion to the movie. You know, like I don't get a chance to get worried about anything that's happening in the movie if I'm constantly nervous about the next big loud noise that's going to startle me in real life. You know,
Mhm.
so it's kind of like the movie is just constantly reminding me, "Oh, hey, you're watching a movie."
Makes sense. Yeah, I
And
get that.
yeah, I can't
Valid.
get into it because of that. I do think it's cool though. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of neat stuff in the movie. If I could describe it in a way that would put it in sort of a like, you know, for fans of context, I would say if you liked The Bye Bye Man, if you liked The Ring, and if you liked shit, why can I never remember the third one that I compared it to? Noah, I said this to you the other day.
I've heard it compared to It Follows and The Babadook a lot.
The Babadook, that was the
Babadook
other
was
one.
what
I
you're
still
saying.
haven't seen It Follows, actually. Yeah, but if you liked,
What?
I just never did. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
If you like the Babadook, if you like the Ring, if you like the Bye
Banished.
Bye Man, you will like Smile. It is along the same lines as all of those. It's well executed for what it is. I just don't like what it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, not
Yep.
your personal cup of tea.
Yeah, not for
Um,
me. Not bad, but not for me.
Last but not least, I'm not going to get into it, but I'm the only one that's seen Halloween Ends of the group of us. As somebody new to the horror genre, I like it. I give it a 7.5 out of 10, I think.
Okay.
I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about it, but I won't go into it because I don't want to spoil anything for my friends here.
And just because we haven't talked about Halloween Kills yet, so I don't know what your opinion is on that. How would you say it compares to Halloween Kills? Better or worse?
I didn't like Halloween Kills very
Okay,
much.
good. But like, is Halloween Ends is Halloween Ends better or worse than Halloween Kills?
Better.
Well, Emma did
Okay.
just rank it pretty high, and I'm reaching into the future, and I'm seeing a number like 3 maybe for Halloween Kills.
I don't know. You'll have to
We'll just
listen
have to
to the
wait.
next episode.
Next episode.
But first, we'll have to listen to this episode.
Yeah, first we
Yeah.
gotta do this episode.
Welcome back to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. Bitch.
He did it.
He did the thing.
This is our third entry into slash. God, it's not. It's our second entry into Slashtober. We finally hit Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy's back. As usual, of course. We love Freddy. We love a good Freddy. Freddy's always here. But you know who's also always here is me, Noah,
Oh,
along with Nina,
Hi, I'm Nina.
Jeff.
hello.
Did you say anything?
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Oh God, my
Oh, the splitter's fucked
my
up.
headphones are dying.
Oh no.
Have a sec.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too. I think it's the connection point with the speaker.
I said
Oopsie
hello. I thought
whoopsies.
you hesitated before saying anything to Emma because she was drinking at the time. But
No,
Nope.
I heard Jack nothing when you said hello.
oh, I said hello.
Hello.
And Emma.
Hi.
Hey!
We're all here.
We are off to a smooth start.
Oh boy. So as Jeff mentioned earlier, this is our third year. We are into our third year of Casual Obsession,
Yeah.
which means that we are into our third of the franchise entries, which is the generally, I believe, most enjoyed Nightmare movie, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Mhm.
As a general rule, people seem to like this one the most. So I'm
I've
gonna
heard that pretty consistently
Okay.
as someone who hasn't seen. This is my first time through all of the slashers. I had always heard this is the good one.
Okay.
All right.
I think this one sits in a fun little spot in the Elm Street timeline because we are starting to get goofier stuff happening. You know, like Will the Wizard and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, we get
Yeah.
goofy things like that part happening, but we still have gritty, mean Freddy. Like a very mean-spirited Freddy is still
Freddy's
here.
doing like Hellraiser shit in this movie.
Yeah, he's Freddy is not a nice man still. Like, which
Can you
is
imagine?
oh, this just in, the murderous pedophile who got burned in a boiler and haunts your dreams isn't nice. But like as the movies go on, he gets a lot goofier and stuff like that, and it always surprises me that we're 3 movies into a 6-movie series. I think it's 6 at least.
Oh.
And he's still like, I'm still not having a good time with Freddy, you know? Like he's still like an imposing figure
Mhm.
versus
kinda.
Jason who's just like, man, look at that guy just like run into a table.
Yeah, Jason's
Yeah.
a
Wow.
mess.
Yeah, from the start,
I think-
Jason's just falling off of shit and getting kicked in the balls, and
I think on a
I'll-
competency level, we go Freddy, Michael, Jason.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true.
I think that makes
Well,
sense.
What
I
I
mean,
will say though
Jason's
is I
like a
think,
Aw.
7-year-old, right, or something.
Yeah, he's
Mhm.
he's just a little guy.
He's just
I think a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
that
He's
also
doing
though
shit.
does have to do with the fact that Robert Englund is the guy that plays Freddy the whole time. He really gets a lot of chances to embody the character. And from what
Mhm.
I've seen in interviews, had a lot of say in like how freaky Freddy would get with different things,
Oh,
which is I think
Mhm.
kind of neat.
that's cool.
I think
Yeah.
the other thing is that this one thing I think I liked especially in this movie, the most out of the 3 that we've watched is that they utilize the fact that this is a dream and therefore shit gets really nebulous.
Yeah.
They use that to like the best of their ability. Things be happening and the only reason is it's a dream. So Freddy can like do a lot of really weird and cool stuff. They
Yeah.
don't really hold back in any way, so I appreciate that.
Mhm.
This movie
Wow,
feels like.
what a
Sorry.
Go ahead, Emma.
go for it.
Oh no.
Good job,
I
Jeff.
interrupted
You
a
made Emma
really good
cry.
joke, didn't I? Fuck.
Just keep going.
I was just gonna say this movie feels like the best possible follow up to the concepts that are laid out in the first one.
Mhm. I would agree. We definitely get diminishing returns from this point as far as concepts go.
Yeah.
Speaking of concepts, what is this movie's concept in
I-
perhaps teaser little bit of
was
a summary of what
really hoping
what
you were gonna
happens
bring
in
it
this
back.
movie?
So our short synopsis is we open on Kristen, our lead for the movie, making a weird little paper mache version of the classic Elm Street house. You know, everyone's favorite character.
Right.
Mhm.
That I totally remember what it looks like from the first movie by the time we're
Absolutely.
3 years into
Why,
this.
Nina, it has 2 windows on the floor, a door in the very middle, and I think 2 windows on the top, and it's green.
And it's got pillars in the front. You remember those.
sometimes. But anyway, fun trivia, by the way. This is the first, and I believe only Elm Street of the first 6 movies that does not open in a dream sequence.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah. So
that's a fun
Little
fact.
trivia there, because now her mom comes home with a guy and has no time to listen to her daughter's blah blah blah. I had a bad dream. Someone's trying to kill me in my dreams.
And she got to help
and
that guy
says, "Go to
find his
bed."
bourbon.
Exactly. So Kristen ends up falling asleep and has a nightmare, which makes where Freddy makes it look like she tried to kill herself. And as such, she is sent to a mental health facility with a group of other teens: Joey, Kincaid, Jennifer, Taryn, Philip, and Will, who also are all dreaming about Freddy. I think that's where I'm going to stop for now, because realistically, that is only about 7 minutes into the movie.
True.
But
it
the
gives
story
you a
does
good
take
taste.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, pace
this
of it.
movie's pacing is break neck.
Oh,
It
we hit
just
the gas and we
goes.
don't let up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
This
I.
is like that era of people who got into dubstep where they wanted all up, no down. That's what this movie
Mm.
is.
It does have some breather, but all of the breather is just one character telling another character, "This is real. It's real. I promise it's real."
So true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Oh,
I-
we get Nancy Thompson back in this movie.
Yeah, that's what I
our
was
hero
about to
from
say.
the
I
Oh,
first
think-
movie.
since we're gonna say Nancy's
I think it's worth
back, yeah, it's
mentioning.
Nancy
we
yelling at
got Heather
people.
Langenkamp back as Nancy Thompson from the first
I
movie.
love Heather.
She's so pretty.
Yeah.
She is very pretty. Also,
Also in the Midnight
Her-
Club.
yeah, she's in the Midnight Club, the new show by Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
Oh, we
the
should have
young
gabbed
adult
that.
horror.
Is it
I haven't gapped.
thumbs up, thumbs down?
Big thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
I'm really enjoying it so far. Me
Yeah,
and Piper are
nice.
like 2 or 3 episodes away from the end.
We are
Um,
up to the next to last episode, I think, and loving it.
Yeah. I
Nice.
think the start is a little bit slow, but once it gets you, it hooks in you.
Yeah.
It's got you.
Nice.
I'm really excited to watch it.
but
Yeah.
that's
but
not what we're here
then-
to talk about. We're talking
but-
about
Oh.
The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Emma was gonna say something.
My mistake.
But then the lead, the blonde girl,
Mhm.
is in Severance, and she's like the boss
Oh.
in Severance.
Really?
I'm not
Ooh,
familiar.
Yeah.
Oh my
Great show.
gosh. I've been seeing a lot of fan art of that character recently, so
hmm
Very nice.
But
from one
what
specific
do
person, but yeah.
people think of this movie that we're here
Yeah.
to talk about though?
What did people say
Yeah.
about it?
IMDb has a 6.6 out of 10.
Oh.
Rotten Tomatoes is a 72%, which I would like to point
Oh.
out. Our last movie was a 7%, so I did get to just add a 2 to the end of this
Nice.
one.
Wow.
What a change.
Incredible.
Metacritic is 49, Letterboxd is 3.6 out of 5.
Wow.
And I do have an Ebert for this one.
Oh, hit me with that.
I
Oh
checked.
hell yeah!
It wasn't on his website because it didn't. Well, it might be, but it didn't pop up immediately. So I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to put any more work into finding out.
Sure.
But I found this wonderful line when he was writing for the Chicago Sun-Times. He rated it 1.5 out of 4 stars. He liked the production values, but he said it never generated any sympathy for its characters. Which, with that in mind, I'm very excited to talk about this movie later as we get into spoiler zone, because I think I'm going to go out on a huge limb here and say that in the almost 40 years since this movie came out, the conversation about mental health has changed, that I think that now, if he were to revisit, I don't think he would hold that opinion anymore.
Yeah, but I don't think he's gonna revisit it though, right?
No, he said he wouldn't.
Honestly. So what was that earlier, Jeff? You're no longer beefing with the dead guy?
I am not.
What's this then?
That's not what that was.
That sounded like a little bit of beef to me.
No.
Well, yeah, that's the only critic that matters. That's his reception of this movie.
I'm crying. I'm sobbing. Oh my god. Sorry for peeking the mic all the way
okay,
to
so
hell
I have this idea, right? I have this dude I follow on Twitter. His name is Brandon. He's a film guy.
Oh, Brandon.
I have this idea
Brandon from high school?
where no.
No. This is someone Noah and I.
This is a Brandon that knows one of my friends from Philly.
Oh.
But he does not know me, and I do not know him. I just tangentially
We have a
know
very
him.
strong parasocial relationship with Brandon.
Very strong parasocial relationship
Okay.
with Brandon.
You just know a lot of
Um,
film guys named Brandon then, huh?
Yes.
Because this is
So
the
my
third
thought-
one.
My thought is I go to Brandon's Twitter before we hit a movie,
Yeah.
and I see if he has ever tweeted about a movie.
Sure.
I disagree with Brandon on most things.
Brandon has some weird takes. His favorite director is Michael Bay because he's one of the only guys making wild batshit movies anymore, and he loved Ambulance.
He
Maybe
loves
his
Ambulance.
Favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
Anyway,
It's a weird
enough
opinion, but
about
all
him.
right.
I don't.
I'm
wanna
coming in.
talk
I'm
about
coming
him.
in with that next week.
Okay.
I'm coming in with that next week because he has talked about Halloween Kills recently.
Oh, cool.
But I don't know what he said about Nightmare because I'm here to give my review of this movie, and by review I mean numeral system that says how good a movie is objectively.
Wait,
No.
why did you
True.
bring up Brandon then?
Yeah, I literally don't know.
Because I forgot
Just
to
to
tie that
add
in.
him to the
Oh
professional.
yeah,
the
review
critics that we
list.
listen to. Some guy
well,
named
that's the
Brandon.
thing is we only mentioned Ebert, and I think it would be nice to bring a second critic into things.
Sure. We can
And
bring in any
Brandon has
number
been
of
published in
critics.
Bloody Disgusting before.
Okay.
So
Second critic,
Nice.
guy who liked
Can-
Ambulance.
Yeah,
Can we just never tell him that we're doing this?
No,
I
I
would-
do not want him to know. I never want to speak to him ever.
No, it would
Okay,
ruin
yeah.
the parasocial relationship in a
absolutely,
very big way.
yeah.
Okay.
My rating is an 8 out of 10 for this movie.
Yeah.
It's the rating that I gave it ages ago, and when revisiting the movie, I think an 8 out of 10 sits.
Holy shit, 10-star Noah is actually maintaining the course this time.
Honestly,
Wow.
this is a time when Noah of the past had a good take, and I think it's because I watched the Elm Street movies more recently than some of these other ones.
Yeah,
Makes
Also,
sense.
Freddy's just a fun killer to watch.
kind of.
Yes.
We talked about this in the last movie, but the fact that he talks and has the charisma to back it up really does help elevate these movies. Plus, these are such weird experimental things. Like,
The amount of
Mhm.
stop motion in this
There's
movie
a
is kind
lot.
of insane.
It's a
yeah,
lot
there's a
of
lot of
stop
stop motion
motion.
in this. The dream portions, I like made 5 or 6 notes about these because the dream sections are actually really trippy and weird.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
work for me.
They also do a much better job of in this movie of every time that you know a character is going to fall asleep, they do a really good job of not telling you exactly when that happens.
Mhm.
Yeah. But the way that they do
and-
it is, yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, no. I'll give my rating.
go for it.
Please do.
We're gonna probably get into this a little more in the episode. But I'm gonna preface this because I feel like people are going to be surprised by this. I have a history of like some really terrible mental health stuff, but my way of kind of coping with that, especially in fiction, has been I've really latched onto narratives that happen in psychiatric facilities. I've never been in one myself. And I this is like really dark humor, so I'm sorry, but my reasoning was always whenever I felt like I maybe needed to go to a psychiatric facility, it was almost always during group project season, and I just didn't want to let my groups down. So that's the only thing that kept me out of a psychiatric facility in college.
Wow.
But yeah, so with that out of the way, because I feel like that'll come into play later when I'm like defending certain things about this movie,
Sure.
I would also give it around an 8 out of 10.
Wow, that's high for a slasher movie
Yeah.
from Nina.
Yeah, I love the effects. I think the special effects and the character of Freddy and the fact that there is a hot woman with a mohawk all kind of play into that. There's a
a
lot.
2.5 foot tall mohawk, I might add.
It's a
Oh my God, it
significant-
Not
flops.
hair that was set for a mohawk.
It flops
No.
around so much in a couple scenes, and I was laughing.
You
so
can
hard.
tell there's a reason that they didn't show it a lot.
But yeah,
Jeff, what do you think?
I feel like giving it an 8 out of 10 is appropriate. Like this is, I mean, like I just said earlier, this is just a good expansion on the concepts of the first Elm Street movie. This is the one where Freddy actually kind of becomes Freddy. Like, you know how like in the
Mhm.
later Friday the 13th movies, like Jason turns into the Jasonator, and that's the version of the character that we're all familiar with. This is the point
Yes.
where Freddy makes that same turn, basically. Like he is now the Freddy that I know from Freddy vs. Jason that I never saw in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie until now.
Yeah.
And I like
Stand
that a
up,
lot.
Freddy.
He's doing cool shit. Yeah. Yeah, he's saying stuff like "Welcome to primetime, bitch," and like he's actually kind of fun now. He's actually cool. He's grown into his charisma. 8 out of 10 sounds right to me. Also, just love Heather Langenkamp in this movie. She's great.
Yeah.
I love her so much.
I love the way that she dresses in like almost every scene. She is constantly wearing stuff that makes me look at it and just be like, I need to get some of that. Like
I only have a little bit of beef with the way that they did her in this movie, and we'll talk about that when we get into spoilers.
Yeah.
Valid. Now, considering the fact that I hate old movies with a passion,
Of course.
Yep.
I don't super enjoy the classical slashers.
Naturally.
I'm curious what you all think I will give this movie.
Noah just flashed me the number 6. So
I was preemptively preparing for this.
I think the best that I have dared to hope for from you on this one is like a 4.
yeah, I was gonna say 5. So I think 4, 5, 6 is.
Oh, way to
General
Price
range.
is Right coward it.
No, 5 was what I was. I shook my head when you showed me the 6 because I
He
thought
was
you were.
like, this fool. It's clearly 5.
3 stars and 99 cents.
I am giving this movie a 7.
Holy shit. Whoa. Oh, we're doing it. All right.
Hey, I mean,
It's
let's
a
be
fun
real.
time.
It is.
It's a good
good
movie.
movie.
It's a fun movie.
I had my problems,
Of course.
but a lot of the
Yes.
effects were really well done for their time.
Mhm.
Sure.
A step and a half above both of the other Elm Street movies.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Also, what year did this come out versus
87 and
Friday
the
the
original
13th 3?
Friday the 13th 3 was 84?
82.
Jeff, 82.
82.
This is 5 years later.
So okay,
Oh, damn.
okay, for reference, isn't the first Elm Street 84?
84 or 85, yeah.
So the movie that we just watched, the third Friday, came out before the first Elm Street.
Yeah, Elm Street came
So-
in late in the 80s slasher game.
Yeah, I was talking to one
Okay.
of my friends yesterday. I was telling him I was about to watch this movie, and he was like, "That's," because I was said, we were talking about like problematic, and I was
Right.
problematic content. I was like, speaking of problematic content, I have to go watch an 80s horror movie.
yeah,
And he was like, "Oh, which one?" And I'm like, "Oh, Elm Street 3." And he's like, "Elm Street was the 80s? I could have sworn it was 90s all the way through." And I'm
Wow.
like, I was like, "No, dude." And he's like a pretty big horror fan as well.
Right.
So I thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, watching this, having also just watched Friday 3,
mhm,
I was like, it makes sense there's such a large year discrepancy, but
sure.
I was like, under the assumption that they came out relatively around the same time-ish. And I was like,
Mhm.
how did the other two big franchises even compete with this? Because this is just another level of well
Right.
done.
Yeah, because it came
mean,
out later.
It was beating Halloween with a stick at this point
Oh,
because this
geez,
was
yeah.
into the late Halloween timeline, which is not that great.
Yeah. Well, also something that I think is worth mentioning. Friday the 13th Part 4 is titled The Final Chapter because they intended that to
Mhm.
be the last Friday the 13th movie in 1983 because they felt that once again in 1983 slashers were on their way out and they couldn't possibly turn a profit on another one. It
Mhm.
was 1983. The first Nightmare on Elm Street movie hadn't even come out yet, and they were like, "Well, all right, let's pack it up. Slashers are over now, surely."
I
It's
mean,
like,
that's
well,
what
maybe
happens,
if you
though.
have one single type of slasher that is the silent guy who goes to
Yeah.
like teenagers' houses to kill them.
Maybe if you were to come up
maybe
with a
then-
second
maybe
idea, maybe like
And then in 1984, the second idea dropped.
yeah.
hmm
But yeah, we've established this movie is better than the other movies we've watched. So what's it about, Noah? If we're ready for
You-
that, or do we
No,
have
it's
any?
about
it's trigger
content
warnings.
warnings,
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
actually.
content
it's
warnings
time.
here.
It's time
Yeah,
for the
there's a
like
lot of content to
comically
warn here.
long. It's not
Okay,
actually
it's not
that long.
comically long.
It's-
It's not our long. I think it right now ranks there because there's just a scattershot wide amount of things
Yeah.
that are lesser. But this is all like this is pretty
It's
pretty
consistent,
consistent and
but it's
targeted.
intense.
So much like every other Elm Street movie, we have a drug addiction problem. Previously, it was caffeine. This time, it's real drugs.
Yep.
Okay,
Sorry.
not real drugs. You know what I mean, though. It's like it's drugs, not like
I mean, I am.
watch me eat my powdered coffee and chase it with a Diet Coke, which does happen.
Yeah.
God, that oh god.
Yeah, like they're
Um,
not doing over the
mm.
counter meth like they did in the first couple of movies. So there's that, but
Stay awake.
yeah.
I mean, technically, Nancy wants to put them all on over-the-counter meth.
No, that's
Or no, she wants
Hypnosil.
to
It
put them on
puts- it lets them
Hypnosil,
sleep
which is
without
just
dreams.
it's just a
yes.
dream blocker.
I got it.
But also, we have drug
Hypnosil,
addiction.
yeah.
We have suicide and self-harm.
Yep.
A lot.
A lot.
Yep.
Constantly. That's the plot of the movie. So just go, like, if you just go
There,
in
yeah,
knowing
there is
that.
a core part of this movie is the implication that a teen suicide like spike in the town is because of Freddy.
Yeah.
So just that part out there. We have some real bad mental health stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
One moment when a person kills himself, the doctor who's there to help them all do better and is their biggest advocate goes on this rampage about yelling about how much of a coward the other character was for killing himself, which is, as we all know, the way to handle these things and is not going to make anything worse, of course.
Naturally.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of that is the worst of it, but
Yeah.
there is a lot of language blaming people for their own speed of recovery from things
Yeah.
and not listening to the concerns of people who are experiencing mental health issues.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of stuff that you see kind of lampshaded in other movies with these kind of settings, like Candyman or the new Invisible Man,
Yeah.
where but it's just constant in this movie. Kids
Yes.
are constantly trying to tell adults and authority figures who are there to quote unquote protect them what is really going on, and they are constantly being disregarded in the most patronizing way possible.
Yeah.
So
Which, it's an Elm Street staple.
Right.
Yes.
Um,
it's a slasher staple. It's an 80s movie staple, but
It is, but
it
it's-
is particularly potent in this movie.
mhm. And the situation does continue as usual. We got also multiple sexual assault mentions. We don't see anything happen,
Nothing shown. Yeah.
but
It is graphically
is-
described. Well, not super
Well, not
but it is
graphically, but
described.
like horrifically.
Yes.
yes. We finally get our first entry into Freddy, the bastard son of 100 maniacs.
Which
The
is
line
a
that
very
goes hard, but wow.
it's a very
Yeah.
very bad backstory.
Yeah. So
They're
yeah,
trying
and there's
to
a few
excuse,
other
almost excuse his behavior by being like, oh, it's you understand like why he's a bad person. He was just born that way. That's how these
Yeah.
things go. And it's-
Dr. Loomis was the sitting doctor when Freddy was born.
God, I
He
would've
said,
loved that.
This boy is evil.
And he's like, I have seen this
Anyway.
before.
We
Evil
also
has a face.
it's just this little
and
man.
it's
He's got
fucked
the
up and burnt
blackest
because
eyes,
that's how you know they're
doll's eyes,
evil.
the devil's eyes.
Any-
Anyway, we also Nina asked me to put down offensive language, and I don't remember the exact thing. So Nina,
It's
take
mostly
this
They did
the-
say
the-
shit once.
They did
Yeah.
say that.
No, it's basically exactly the line that it's just kind of the way that they talk about people who are mentally ill. So
Yeah.
like the
yeah.
bastard son of 1,000 maniacs or whatever. It's like, woof.
one. Oh, that's what you. Oh yeah, no, of just insensitively speaking. There's a lot of that in the
Yes.
movie. It's the 80s. It's one
it
of
was
those
an
things.
insensitive time.
But
Yeah,
Um,
this I
and-
want to say again, this movie pulls absolutely zero punches on the way the characters who are like the movie's not sympathetic with them.
no.
But the characters who are dicks are like openly dicks when
Very, yeah.
no punches are pulled. But yeah,
Mhm. And like I mentioned earlier, I think that actually helped this movie age better, ironically enough, because we've hit a point where not believing the people in these situations is not the norm.
Yeah,
So
it
it
kind
does-
of paints them
It
more
makes you way more
obviously as bad
sympathetic.
people, and
Yeah, it
Mhm.
elevates the situation out of just being another run of the mill slasher with a weird gimmick.
so we've got a very rare instance of a movie aging well by aging poorly.
Yeah.
yeah, it does make you a lot. It made me a lot more sympathetic with the main characters. I think than
Absolutely.
I would have been if I didn't like really feel for the way that they were being treated.
It's kind of scary almost.
It is part of the
It's-
horror is just that they keep banging. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's kind of scary almost when you see how this is aged versus how you could have expected. If only I had a numerical system to know how
Oh my God,
scary
okay.
was. That's all I was doing.
I'm
Wow,
ready to
great
launch right into
questions.
discussion out here.
I think if you have nightmares, this movie is for you.
Holy
It
shit!
sure
Maybe
is
not
one.
for you. But I think as far as a scary rating for its time, I think this was probably a very scary movie because,
Mhm.
like I said, the effects are really well done. There's a lot of really cool and clever practical effects.
Yeah, a lot of very neat moments.
Which, like, kind of like in today's age, it's kind of like looking back at old black and white movies that were scary, and you're like, I can see The Wire, where it's not really scary, I don't
Mhm.
think, but I think back in the day it was probably really scary. But
Right.
now it's like maybe a 3 out of 10 scary, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
That makes sense.
Nice.
All right, so are we up?
And that's
to...
all I've got for you. Get off my lawn.
Okay.
Well, now that we're getting off Emma's lawn and into the long synopsis.
Oh,
Actually, let me double check something.
Double checking.
Oh, I only have one trivia piece left.
Okay.
This is the first Elm Street that they call him Freddy instead of Fred.
Oh, I have a
Oh.
different trivia piece.
Is it a spoiler?
It is not, unless you consider
Okay,
the
fire away.
music in the end credits to be a spoiler.
Oh, no, that is a spoiler of my synopsis, so you need to wait.
Damn. All right, I'll wait.
Wait, I have something I want to say.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Does anybody else hearing like the Freddy song think of the parody that was done in Rick and Morty every single time?
I've never watched Rick and Morty.
The Freddy song?
I do the one that where she's like the kid in the nightmare singing it.
Yeah.
Oh, the like jump rope rhyme.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do think
every
of
now
that
and
a
then.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
What was it in Rick
Um,
and Morty? Because all I do is have flashbacks to that scene, but I don't remember the words.
Rick and Morty's was, oh gosh, I don't remember.
Wait, isn't that the one that's just like Rick and Morty?
No. But I don't know. It's just very catchy, and so every time I hear the Freddy song, I think of Rick and Morty, and it is both at the same time very frustrating and annoying, but also humorous.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's all I have. Get off my lawn.
All right, we're
All right.
leaving the
All right.
lawn again. I don't know why we
Sitting
went
down
back.
in our lawn in a lawn chair, and we're gonna go into the long.
The situation escalates
Oh my god!
at an alarming rate after Nancy Thompson joins the staff of Weston Hills Asylum, with two of the kids dying in quick succession. Philip by being turned into a marionette and walked off of a ledge, and Jennifer by having her head shoved into a television. With a third patient, Joey, falling into a coma after an off-the-books mental health meeting. The staff of the asylum assumes that something Dr. Gordon, not of the Saw, different Dr. Gordon,
Oh,
and Nancy are doing is causing the deaths, which causes both of them to be fired and banned from the premises like immediately. While at the funeral that followed the death of Jennifer, I believe, Dr. Gordon meets a nun who tells him that Freddy's spirit must be put to rest, and that's the problem. She also says that when she's like, "Are you religious?" and he's like, "I suppose I believe in science," she basically just says, "Wow, you have no comfort in life, and your life sucks,"
I love.
which I thought was very funny.
Sister Mary Helena. She's a cool presence in the movie. I like her.
See. After a little bit of info dumping about the concept of Freddy, kind of, to each other, Nancy leaves Dr. Gordon with her father to go locate and bury Freddy's bones officially, and she responds to the emergency call from the remaining kids in the asylum. After a simultaneous battle in the dream world and the real world, Will and Taryn are both killed. Dr. Gordon... Wait. Oh, shit, wait.
Yeah, you skipped it.
Yep, I just skipped a line. My bad.
Okay.
Are killed. Freddy is finally put down, though not without also taking Nancy with him. At Nancy's funeral, Dr. Gordon learns that the nun he was talking to was actually the spirit of Freddy's mother, who had been dead for some time now. We close on Kristen falling asleep without any nightmares, but as the camera pans away, the light in the top of her papier-mâché Elm Street house turns on, which of course lets us know that Freddy lives in the tiny house.
Dun, dun, dun.
Freddy lives in the tiny
Just
house.
like a millennial.
That means he's just a tiny.
Oh my God.
He's just a tiny Freddy. He can't hurt you.
Just
if
a
he's
tiny
tiny.
guy.
He's just a little guy.
And then the movie closes with Dawkin, an
Dawkin.
original song by Dawkin.
And a fun fact about the Dream Warriors song by Dawkin, due to their involvement in the movie, Robert Englund ended up hanging out with them for some reason, and they snorted
Okay.
coke off the Freddy claws.
I love that.
There's a picture of them together from like a photo shoot where Freddy's like got all his like claws all tangled in their big ass hair. It's so funny.
That was probably when it happened.
Oh, what was which Friday movie was it where the guy playing Jason was like burnt out and tired, and then one of the stage guys just like blew a white powder in his face, and he's like, and then I was like, I felt really good. I was ready to go. We finished the set and it was all great.
I've never
Freaky
heard that
Friday.
story.
I thought you told me that story.
Nope.
I don't
That's
remember what
so
movie that's
funny.
from then, but it happened.
Wow.
So.
All right.
Oh my god.
But yeah, here we are. We're into the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 discussion time now. Oh, I forgot to mention this. It opens up with a quote by Poe,
It does.
but from what I can find, there's no written proof that Poe said this.
I
Oh.
literally I literally saw the quote on the screen and I'm like, That is not a Poe
Yeah,
quote.
because it's not from any of his actual writings. He could have said it, but he never published that
The
line.
other thing is not to be like have a parasocial relationship with a dead like poet or anything,
Mhm.
but
Right.
it's 100% not his way of writing horror or talking about sleep or horror
Oh, okay.
involving sleep. I just don't think it lines up with the way that he writes about like that kind of thing. So to me, I looked at it and I was like, that doesn't sound like something he would say, but cool, I guess. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Not my Poe.
Not my
No.
Poe. So the movie opens with them making this is like not apropos of like absolutely nothing
Right.
except that I saw Noah's notes and it reminded me. I had to wait to watch this movie because my landlord was coming over to like replace some batteries in our smoke detectors.
Oh.
And then he left to go get a carbon monoxide detector because
He lost ours
lost
again.
I love him. He's a little bit absent-minded, but he left and I decided to start making myself food while I started watching the movie. So I keep like I'm like cutting potatoes and onions and like starting to cook and stuff and my actions are almost like exactly lined up with the like baking and with like the paper mache stuff. So I was like, "Oh, this is definitely food." And then it was paper mache. And I was like, "Ah, damn." Yeah. This movie. Oh my god.
There's a lot of stuff that I love in this movie, but I want to talk about the dream sequences first. Because
Can I talk about Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going
go-
to say, can I mention one thing about the first dream sequence?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the movie, our main character goes into the dream sequence and is outside of Freddy's house and sees a bunch of kids playing.
Mhm.
And there's a little girl on a tricycle. And my brain was like, I bet that's Jigsaw from Saw.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's true. That is Jigsaw
That
from
is, in
Saw
fact,
in,
Jigsaw.
I
in her
knew
first
it.
studio role.
um
But I love that first dream sequence a lot because it's very dreamy. The hallways are too long. You know that she's entering a house. We've seen the inside of the house before,
Mhm.
but it's all long hallways.
none of the rooms are
and
right.
none of them connect the right way.
Yeah.
And it works so well for me. But one of the things that works really well is she chases the little girl on the tricycle in there because she's like, "Don't go in there." She picks this girl up, runs from Freddy through the house. I loved the shin deep tar
Yeah.
that she was like running through. That was a great spot that
That's
she
neat.
just barely gets away. But then she enters this room full of
The
bodies.
corpse
And
hanging
I'm
room,
not
yeah.
sure if this was just me making it up or not, but I thought I saw some faces from the other movies in there. Or it could just be that Johnny Depp in that era had a generic pretty boy face.
Kind of did.
But regardless, I'm in my heart, that is a room full of all of the Elm Street kills from previous movies, plus like an incredibly inflated body count,
course.
you know. But it was really cool.
I think that's a cool
And then
shot,
the
yeah.
girl says, the girl in her arms says something. She looks down and there's just like a skeleton there instead.
The
Yeah.
I
amount
think
of
she said, "You're
skeletons-
hurting me."
Yeah.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
The amount of skeletons in this movie is off the chain. You don't get a lot of skeletons in horror movies, the way that they do them here.
No,
you are going to
yeah.
flip when I finally get us to cover an Evil Dead movie. We'll be skipping the first one and going straight to the second, but like that means we'll also be hitting Army of Darkness. And there's so many skeletons in that movie.
Yeah. Sam Raimi.
Don't you make that face, Noah. It's going to happen and you're going to like it.
Skipping the first one? Come on.
Anyway, dream sequences.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, one of my favorite things about the dream sequences in this movie is that they use the fact that these are dreams in a very apt way. Like
Yeah.
they just let things happen. They don't
Mhm.
try and make any rules or anything. Everyone kind of has like superpowers in the dream world that they can do or whatever. Though they do have a kid. Oh, this is one maybe we should have mentioned in the trigger warnings. One of the kids who had attempted suicide but survived has been paralyzed from the waist down and it uses a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And again, while this is not handled as poorly as it could have been, when they go into the dream sequence, he's able to walk.
Yeah.
And he's like, in my dreams, I can walk. And it's like, okay. But I will give them a lot of credit, that's not the only thing they let him do. They're not like, yeah, you see,
Yeah.
he can walk, and that's his superpower. They also gave him the ability to just shoot lightning out
Yeah,
of his
he's just like,
fingertips.
in my dreams,
He's
I
a
can walk. And they're like,
wizard.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm the wizard master.
Yeah.
And they all just look at him. They're like, what does that mean?
It's
And then
'cause
he
he plays
starts doing
D&D.
wizard shit because he's a fucking nerd.
I really
And I
do
also
love that.
Mhm.
this is my favorite scene of the movie
Yeah.
because it's so fucking ridiculous. But when she's like, or when he's like, I'm the Wizard King or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and then
I'm the fucking lizard king.
everybody's going around saying, like, oh, in my dreams, I can do this or that. And then it gets to the last girl, and she's like, in my dreams, I'm beautiful and bad.
She pulls out two
Yeah.
switchblades.
She says it, and then she's dual wielding switchblades and holding them like in
She's like,
such a funny
flicks them
way.
open.
It's so good.
That's the other thing about this movie that I think lines up with what I'm saying about like the dream sequences is that they just let it be like
Yeah.
over the top. And it's
Just let
not
it
in
be
like
crazy.
it is camp. I think that's
Absolutely.
the word for it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
camp. It's so good. They just let the characters do whatever and they don't hold back on that either.
Yeah.
Like I freaking Kincaid, underrated, absolute
I love Kincaid
masterpiece.
because everyone else is like, I can do a thing. I can do a
And
thing. And then
Kincaid's like,
Kincaid's
I'm
like,
gonna punch through this wall.
he bends a chair and Dr. Gordon's like, whoa, Kincaid, stop that. You're freaking me out. It's like, dude, this kid just
What?
turned a marble into a butterfly, but Kincaid folding a metal chair in half is
Yeah, the
freaking you
wizard
out.
master is fine, but like
I'm the wizard master.
The scene of them playing D&D is so accurate because it's so funny because they're all sitting in bed playing D&D and Will is the wizard master, they call it in this off-brand D&D universe. And it's like him and one really enthusiastic player and then the punk girl that they've roped into it.
It's
who-
Joey. Joey's the other player, the
Yeah.
one who can't speak.
Joey is super pumped to be here. And then it's Taryn who they have roped into it, who is like enthusiastic enough to be bullied into saying the goofy shit. But then
Yeah.
when she's prompted to fucking roleplay the never ending story with her horse dying in a bog, she's like, well, fuck that. I am going to bed. She's like, the horse is dead. Long live the horse. I'll get a new one in the morning. And everyone else is like,
This
oh.
is exactly my experience as a GM.
yeah.
Mhm.
It was so I loved it. Oh my god. But yeah.
I think that's some of the stuff that makes this movie good. Is you do have like just some funny, weird stuff, and we also have Lawrence Fishburne.
We've
Oh, yeah,
got
Lawrence
very
Fishburne's in this
young
movie.
Lawrence Fishburne, credited as Larry.
We
So
got
Fishburne.
Morpheus.
Larry
Larry
Fishburne. in
Fishburne.
this
He went by
movie.
Larry?
He's credited
Yeah.
as Larry in
God.
this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, good old Larry Fish.
I love
I didn't
that.
realize it was him at first. Because when I was watching the movie, I had IMDb on the side just so I could double check character names while I'm making notes. And I just saw Lawrence Fishburne credited as Larry Fishburne, and I'm like, which one
what?
is Lawrence? And then
And then
he
you
hit the
saw him and
screen
you're like,
again,
oh.
and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I saw the
That's
name
right,
Larry
Orderly
Fishburne
Larry.
in the opening credits, and I was like, Larry Fishburne? Hold on a second. And then he
only-
walks in, and I was like, oh.
please, Larry Fishburne was my father.
Call me
Lawrence.
Lawrence. He's the only member of the asylum staff that gives half a shit. And like
He cares so
he
cares
much.
so
falls
much.
he falls to it, like victim to the same like way of thinking that the other staff do, but you can see why he thinks it because like
Yeah.
Nancy showed up and things started going to shit and he cares about these kids.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
instead of it the other ones being like these kids are my responsibility and you're fucking with my credentials in this
Yeah.
study, get out of my house with what is it, Max?
Max.
Max is like, yo, Nancy,
I can.
no.
Yeah, I love the
He's like,
interplay
even if
between
I
him
wasn't
and
under
Nancy.
orders, I would kick your ass.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and defend our pal Larry really quick and the rest
Absolutely.
of the staff.
Okay.
In real life, which in these sorts of movies we're supposed to imagine it's real life,
course.
except for this one.
A real life, but
Supernatural
also
thing.
Freddy Krueger exists.
Right.
Yeah,
And
in
Catholicism
real life,
is really
if
cool.
I worked at a mental hospital of some sort and people were saying, there's this guy in my dreams, he's trying to kill me, I would be like, okay,
Mhm.
there's not actually a guy
Yeah.
who can kill you in your dreams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is something that like you've got
Right.
some deep-seated psychological trauma. We need to work through that.
Right.
And most
And so
importantly,
I get it.
yeah, well,
I
also though,
100% get it with Max specifically,
Sure.
and I also think that that kind of baseline is like absolutely, even when the coincidences started popping up, I would be up for it. I think that like the scene where she looks him in the eye and she's like, "You guys are all having the exact same dream because you have repressed sexual trauma." I would
Ugh.
laugh in her face. But yeah,
Yeah.
other than other than some,
No,
like,
no. It wasn't specifically repressed sexual trauma. It was
puberty.
too many sexual urges also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kincaid had the exact perfect response to that. Oh, great. Now my dick's
Mhm.
trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kincaid.
I love the particular interplay between Nancy and Max because, like, through their earlier interactions, you can see that Max can tell how much Nancy cares and he respects that a lot. But then once stuff starts going wrong, when the new person shows up and suddenly, as a direct result of stuff that they're doing, a couple of kids die, Max's response is the only appropriate response there. He's like, well, yeah, we just have
Yes.
to get
Mhm.
you out because this wasn't happening before.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%.
And, like, you can see he is still kind of, like, conflicted about it because, like, he still knows she cares that much. It's just that what she's doing is obviously not working from his perspective.
Yeah.
And
And he has no proof otherwise, so he absolutely acts appropriately.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell that, and that's, I think, part of why Nancy respects him when he tells her that. She doesn't like, she does kind of undermine him, but she doesn't push past him or anything or call him
Yeah.
names or get mad. She's just like, okay, can I talk to the other kids then?
I really
Yeah.
love when he was just like, respectfully, even if you were allowed to see her, I wouldn't let you.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just
Very good
He
line.
is such a good performance in this movie.
Okay.
Holy shit.
There's only one orderly I hate, if we're being honest.
the guy who tries
it
to
the
sell
nurse?
drugs to the addict.
Oh, the drug man?
The
Fuck
drug
man. Hey, you want a clean pharmaceutical high? Blows cigarette smoke in Taryn's face. And she's like, no. And he's like, I think you do. And she's like, I'm clean now. I don't do drugs now. He's like, I think you do.
It's like there's no way to woo
Hated
a
him.
girl like calling her a junkie and then offering her drugs.
It works, yeah.
It works.
Yeah, that's
every
what I
time.
always hear. Yeah.
So here's my hottest take on this movie. This is the number one thing I did not like about this movie. I did not like the decisions they made to pair certain characters together. I don't like the whole Joey and the nurse thing. I thought that was weird. I don't really like Taryn getting hit on by Drug Man. I see why it happened. I think in the narrative that's important. But my least favorite is I hate Nancy and Dr. Gordon together
That was
so
very
much.
bad.
Did not work for me.
And it's
Did not
only
work
like
for me.
kind of implied. There's never anything outright stated, but it was not good. I mean, at least with Joey and the nurse is not actually into Joey. That was just Freddie
No.
getting his
Yeah.
That
attention.
was all of his
and
like.
it's just Joey having a
yeah.
crush on a nurse. Like that's okay.
Yeah.
But like
That's fine. Like and the drug guy again, I get why that's there for the narrative. It makes a lot of sense.
yeah, he's just there to be
But
annoying.
Nancy and Dr. Gordon, when he's like, you might not care if Nancy dies, but I do. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's come on,
whatever,
dude. You've been working
dude.
together for a
I
week.
wish that they had
Like-
paired her with Max, because the other thing is that Dr. Gordon doesn't actually seem to care all that much about the kids in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It seems like he's much more scientific and clinical. And
Mhm.
while I do know that he does care about them because he
Sure.
does say things that like would, and it's maybe just his personality that he's a little less like emotional and stuff. I do not like them together, and this is
It's
like I
bad.
don't mind that Nancy died. I really
Oh,
don't.
that's fine, yeah.
I like a lot of people bitch about how she's so badass and then they take her out in the third movie.
Mm.
I thought it was a good ending for her character. I liked that it was like Kristen and Nancy's like relationship. I don't like that the way that Freddie died is that Dr. Gordon, like none of Nancy's efforts actually did anything to kill Freddie. It was
Yeah.
Dr. Gordon in the real world half-assing his way through an exorcism.
No, that is actually something I was going to bring
Yeah,
up.
that's
Is
not
the
good.
end of the movie is frustrating because no matter what they did in the dream, Freddy was always going to win because he had just filled up on fresh souls or whatever.
Yeah.
so we had to have Gordon on the outside do his job. And if he, like, I don't know, it bums me out that it doesn't matter what they were doing in the dream, except that it kind of distracted Freddy, but it really didn't.
The
either,
characters
you
that
know?
I
I
cared
think
about were not the ones who got to win. And
Yeah. Dr. Gordon never
it
really
matters
stopped
in
sucking.
that they were banded together and they were protecting each other.
Mhm.
Mhm.
They were keeping each other alive, because if there hadn't been that rallying, then whoever would have just died.
Yeah.
And instead we got other people who died. And so
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there
but
was
I
an
think it's
emotional
important
connection to
in
it.
that she cared about the patients and she was keeping them safe and protected, and they were protecting each other in the dream world while other guy was finding the way to actually stop Freddy.
Yeah.
But
I
I think it does matter that she was there
Oh yeah.
and she
Yeah.
did make a
It
difference.
just feels
I
like
It
think
does, it
emotionally
just
it does. And I think even what they did would have worked if I this is again a personal thing. I think if I had liked Dr. Gordon more as a character, if he had been part of this, like, oh, we're banding together to take care of each other, and he was making a
Mm,
sacrifice and didn't want to be the one to not be with everyone else, like he like something where it's like, oh, I am making a sacrifice by being out here on the outside doing this because I don't know if I'm actually saving them, like, or
Mhm.
anything, like something to make him more emotionally connected to the kids, so it didn't feel like he was just mindlessly going through the motions with a guy he didn't like in Nancy's dad because he liked only Nancy. He wasn't doing it for the kids at the end
yeah.
of the day. He was only
yeah.
doing it, and so that kind of like frustrates me because the emotional core with Nancy and the kids is so strong of like how they care about each other,
Yeah.
how they like the way that they're like Kincaid is so like ready to go hard and the others like, hey man,
Yeah.
why don't you tone it down like maybe a couple notches, but they like care about each other and they're there for each other and they're doing everything they can to protect each other, and then all of them to one another, and then Dr. Gordon's just out there like, Nancy, I just like Nancy, the
Yeah.
hot girl that I met like 3 days ago.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, I think there is a way where even the way that they did it could have like worked really well, but it was just kind of disappointing that like she didn't get to actually be the one to take him out. It
Yeah.
was like she got her ass like saved, not even because she died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What feels odd to me is that like Sister Mary Helena kind of like picked Dr. Gordon to be the one that she revealed things to. Why?
Oh yeah,
Why? What's
yeah,
special about him? Nancy
because
has
He's a
had the most
man.
actual contact with Freddy and survived out of anybody. Why would Sister Mary Helena not pick her to be the one to talk to about things, since she's a person who would actually understand immediately?
because Dr. Gordon's faith mission is more important, because it is the only narrative like arc that he gets,
Yeah.
really, is this kind of like like scientific denial of like supernatural stuff. So I get like narratively, but also it would have been fun to see Nancy interact with Freddy's mom and like get to like, it's like two women who have been through a lot of shit, which is something that we see echoed with Kristen and Nancy.
Mm.
Um, I think that would have been cool to see, but instead we got Dr. Gordon being like, I believe in science.
Oh, no comfort there.
I'm
Yeah.
going to steal this crucifix. Haha. That was my favorite, was when he took the crucifix and the priest is like, he just literally comes up, he's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I love that his entire
So
plan there was
good.
just, I'm gonna go to a church, I'm gonna steal some holy water, I'm gonna steal a crucifix. I'm sure it won't be a thing. Like,
He's like, what's collateral for a crucifix? My driver's
here's
license.
here's
Yeah.
my driver's
I'll
license.
come back.
I'll be
I'll come.
back.
And the priest just is like,
Like, well, what
okay.
now? All right. They didn't teach me about this
Looking
in
at the driver's
seminary.
license like, Neil Gordon. Oh, how funny. It says right here, certified piece of shit. Oh, and he's an organ donor too. Nice.
Yeah. Can I talk about the dad
Yes.
really
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Oh,
Drunk
let's talk about the
cop
dad.
dad.
Drunk cop dad. What's the daughter's name again?
Nancy?
I'm
Nancy.
terrible with names. Nancy. So Nancy's dad, whomst is a cop. Um
Who is the one who killed
In-
Freddy in the first movie, by the way?
yeah, so in the 80s,
In the
as an
80s.
audience member watching this movie, would you get the vibe of like this dude is really creepy and kind of gross towards his daughter,
It
or
felt
weird, didn't
Yeah,
it felt very
or is
strange.
that like a modern projection looking at it?
That's a
Because
really good question.
he was
Yeah.
extremely creepy and gross to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same thought
Like,
process.
especially
yeah,
just
like,
because
oof.
in the first movie he was so distant.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He was
And now she's an adult and he's being creepy.
Yeah. It's very odd.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Also, just like in the first movie, Nancy's mom said that she killed Freddy Krueger, and also she said that the entire mob killed him together. So, like, why is this guy saying that he's the one who did it suddenly? Is this like an I am
Because white
Spartacus
men like to take
situation,
credit
or-
for things.
Okay, yeah, I'll accept
think it's
that,
'cause-
honestly. But
Potentially because he's the one who had to take care of the body and he thinks that that's like
yeah,
an exception of some
and
sort.
I don't understand why he would hide it in a car in a salvage yard rather than burying it somewhere or something like that. Like,
Because he's stupid.
He's-
Have you-
I disagree. It's
Oh.
because he's a cop.
Oh.
He knows that there's a chance that someone might find it. Someone might find it like buried somewhere because he knows the spots that would be like good or not.
yeah,
Whereas if it's in a salvage yard, that car might get scrapped. And if it doesn't, it's a random set of bones. It's like, oh man, found another mob body. You know,
Mhm.
well, it seems like if they were burning
Yeah.
him alive in a boiler room, though,
there shouldn't be a lot left.
I would
know.
assume a boiler room would burn pretty
I-
hot, but
I adore the fact that a subplot of this movie is just we have to find the bones. The
Yeah.
bones. It kills
Or
me.
bony
what I
Krueger.
thought it was is that like the claw glove was the only thing that was left of him, and the reason that it was a problem for
that's what-
Nancy in the first movie was because it was in their house, and that was the remains of Freddy. But now it's like, well, what happened to that? Where is that now? Freddy's bones. Why is that a concern? Why was the claw separate from the bones? Why weren't they in the same place? I don't
Okay,
get
I got
it.
an answer for that.
Yeah.
I think that Nancy's dad kept the claws as a trophy.
And then just forgot to take it with him in the divorce.
Yeah.
She took the claws in the divorce. Oh my god.
You know what? I don't know that it's maybe that he forgot to take them, because I would think maybe it's that he wasn't able to take them because of where he hid them. It was too obvious so that he could like what he was doing maybe.
Could be.
Perhaps.
I think we're reading too much into this.
Yeah, obviously, yeah,
angry
there's
little
just
cop
not
man.
not enough thought went into these pairings of movies
No.
and the details that are like inconsistent between the two of them. But like,
So here's a question I have. Have you guys seen more than just these three movies?
I've seen them all.
Okay, Noah, you'll answer this. I looked at the IMDb as well, and I saw that the guy who plays Nancy's dad is in like almost every single one of the Nightmare movies. Does he play a character other than Nancy's dad?
Ghost Cop Dad keeps coming back. It's always John
Let me
Saxon.
double check.
Maybe it's flashbacks. I don't know.
Interesting.
Let me just. Oh, is he still alive?
I doubt it.
No, he died 2020.
Whoa.
83.
Way later than I expected. Jeez. He's in like Black Christmas and everything too.
Let's see.
Man had a very long career.
Maybe Google was lying to me, but I thought I saw
Elm Street 3, Elm Street.
I saw him credited in New Nightmare at the very least.
Yeah, he's in New Nightmare.
Oh, okay.
That's different.
That's
Yeah.
different?
Yeah.
That sits kind of
I was
like
I don't know
Okay, so
anything
yeah,
about
because I
it.
was
the
gonna say I
rest
thought
of
he
the
died in this
series.
movie.
He did die
So
in this
yeah.
movie.
okay, so light spoilers for New Nightmare.
Okay,
but I'm
'cause
pretty
I'm
sure
curious, 'cause-
this is a twist that a lot of people know about. New Nightmare is set in the real world, where the actors are playing themselves. So Heather Langenkamp
Oh.
plays herself,
Mm.
and John plays himself. And as the movie
Okay.
goes on, the different actors start to drift toward their movie persona because Freddy has been willed into life by the pop culture relevance he has.
Oh.
Oh, I want to watch it. Was it bad?
No, it's good.
I wanna see that one.
It's
That sounds like
his
fun.
it's Craven's test run for Scream.
Oh,
That
okay.
tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really good movie.
Okay.
Very much enjoy it. The first hint that you get where things are really going wrong and you get it visually is actually when Heather calls John and he's just like, refers to her as Nancy, and he's in like this ratty old like cop getup. But earlier he had called her Heather and said it's really silly that you're this worried about it. Like stuff like that. It's quite nice.
Huh.
So
That's interesting.
I
That's
like
fun.
I like that. I'm gonna have to watch that.
What numerically is that one?
The last one.
Ah, darn. So we got 3 more years till that one.
We could always step up the pace.
Well, yeah, we could speed this whole process up at any time.
Slashtober
And,
in July.
We're
Slashtober in
theoretically going to
July.
run out of Halloween movies to cover next fall, and then we're going to have to get into the actual Halloween sequels. So,
Ah, boo.
Yeah, Halloween 3.
exactly.
Halloween 3, a movie that definitely follows the continuum.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Okay, thank you for answering that question, because I was curious when I saw him credited there, because I was under the impression it was just a sequel, but now I know it's more than that, and that
Yeah.
sounds really fun.
yeah, it is a sequel, but it is more than a sequel.
Cool.
Good question.
Yeah.
What if you were in your dream, what would your special power be?
I know for sure it wouldn't be flight, because when I used to practice lucid dreaming, anytime I would realize I was dreaming and get really excited and try to fly, I would crash. So I know what it's not, and that's it.
I have actually been
Great.
able
Well,
to fly
that's not
in a
helpful
number of my
neither.
dreams,
No, I have
but I've
nothing.
never been able to fly like fast. It's always like swimming, basically.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Swimming in the
Okay.
air.
Yeah.
Swimming in
It's
the
very
air.
frustrating,
Me too.
actually. It's impossible to move quickly. If you want to get back down to the ground, you can't because you're floating.
Mm-hmm.
You got to swim down.
Yeah. Just like in Finding
Okay.
Nemo.
Just like in Finding Nemo.
You literally,
keep swimming.
my experience has always been you're literally that Skyrim video of the NPCs swimming through the air and then treading water to turn and talk to you about things are getting weird, aren't
No,
they?
she
And then
turns to the
swims
player
away.
character. She turns to the player character and says, "The gods know what you've done," and then she keeps going.
So true.
Yeah,
Me too,
yeah, that
bestie.
sounds right.
That would. I don't know. I don't do anything cool in my dreams. I
No.
usually just wake up thinking that they were part of a recurring storyline, but I cannot, because in my dream I was like, "Oh, I've been here before," but I wake up and I'm like, I cannot actually remember ever once having a dream to do with these subjects before.
Oh no, mine I do remember the subjects when they're a recurring storyline. I have there's a dream version of Erie with several locations I have visited multiple times that are consistently the way they are, which is kind of weird.
Noah's having Nightmare on Elm Street dreams, while the rest of us are just
Yeah, I want to
not.
hear about these
We do-
dreams, Noah.
We do live really close to real life.
Springwood, Ohio. I don't think
No, we live close to an Elm Street.
Oh yeah.
Oh, a nightmare
Springwood,
just off
Ohio.
Elm Street, you might say.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because I don't think Springwood's a real place.
No, I don't
I
think
thought you were
so.
just joking about our proximity to Ohio.
We are pretty close to Ohio.
It's really funny to
We've
me
been
that
in
Freddy
Ohio
is from
recently.
Ohio, and
Yeah.
Jason lives in New
Makes
Jersey.
sense.
Like,
That tracks. Nothing you have said is surprising or confusing to me so far.
Michael's from Illinois.
Michael is from Illinois. He's a very
God.
Midwestern kind of dude. It makes sense. He's just huge and
And
quiet.
Gabriel's from Seattle.
What slasher villain is from Pennsylvania?
Pyramid Head
Noah's about to do
from
some...
Silent
Oh,
Hill.
is Silent Hill in
Is
Pennsylvania?
Silent Hill is based on Centralia, Pennsylvania, which is an abandoned coal mining town.
Oh, it might count.
So you
that.
might
That'd be-
say
that's a
that
good
Pyramid Head
one.
is from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Also, all George
yeah, I
Romero zombie
obviously-
movies have a tendency to be shot in and around Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Nice,
Although
nice.
Day of the Dead was all shot in like Florida, I think.
Got it.
Yeah, Seattle has Gabriel May, my
Seattle
boy.
does have Gabriel.
Noah's scrolling through slashers from
I have to
every
do it
state.
slowly, otherwise this page doesn't load properly.
I'm really interested. Obviously,
What if you just control F?
a lot of these.
It
are-
hasn't. The page hasn't loaded. Is the problem? If I go too fast, the page at the bottom is just all ads.
Like,
Oh,
But I'm
what
in
kind
the
of ads,
what
Noah?
Cropsy is
New
probably
Hampshire, New Jersey is Jason. New Mexico, Cannibal Family from the Hills Have Eyes.
Tracks.
Pumpkinhead. I forgot about that dude.
Pumpkinhead. Oh yeah.
New York's biggest villain is the House from Amityville.
I want to
Oh.
know what Washington State's was because
Ohio. Freddy Krueger.
Twilight.
oh shut up.
Clearly.
Oh, Pennsylvania is the cemetery zombie from Night of the Living Dead. The
Wow,
guy
that's
in the
boring.
Well, all
That's
the
really
zombies
it,
from
huh?
Night of
That's
the
a
Living
boring
Dead,
one.
because
Rhode
Night of the
Island
Living
gets
Dead was just
Bathsheba
shot
from The
in fucking
Conjuring.
Pittsburgh. So
What about Washington
what
D.C.?
about
Yeah, I
Washington
want to know.
D.C.?
I'm in V, so we're almost there.
Okay.
Washington gets Samara from The Ring.
Oh.
Washington State gets
State.
Samara.
DC is not listed here because
Damn.
Washington
Dang it.
DC
Oh,
isn't
it's
real.
not a state, of course.
Wyoming gets.
I'm always curious if on like those sorts of things, if they'll include DC. And like
Wisconsin.
sometimes they do,
I
sometimes
don't think
they
I've ever
don't.
watched a horror movie that took place in D.C. other than like what, the Purge election year, maybe.
Mm.
Wisconsin gets the fast zombies from Dawn of the Dead.
Wisconsin doesn't Dawn of the Dead
From the 2004 one,
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one. Oh, I haven't seen Dawn of the Dead
which is
at
better
all.
than
Let's
Wyoming,
see.
which gets Rusty Nail from Joyride, which I believe is a truck.
Ooh.
Here are 12 scary movies set in Washington
Oh,
D.C.
let's go.
Oh.
The Exorcist,
Oh.
Okay.
the original
yeah. Oh,
Exorcist.
That's
Shit,
definitely
I
your
have
big
to,
villain.
We have to
then.
cover that sometime.
Yeah, you 100%. What's her name? It starts with an R, right?
Reagan.
No,
Rosie.
Reagan. Yeah, it starts with an R. Shut up.
I thought it was Megan. Not gonna lie.
No, that's the new movie.
Hannibal,
Hannibal Lecter?
the sequel to The Silence of the
Holy
Lambs.
shit.
Oh yeah, because
Um,
Hannibal's on his way to like eat a politician or some shit.
Nice.
Hannibal, Mr.
I love the
Hannibal,
idea
Mr.
of the Silence of the
Washington.
Lambs sequels just taking a Friday the 13th kind of turn where it's just Hannibal going to places to eat people. Like just
It's Hannibal
absolutely
eat-
gut the character and turn him into a dumb slasher villain.
Yeah. Hollow Man starring Kevin Bacon.
Oh, you get Kevin Bacon? Okay.
The Invasion starring Nicole Kidman.
Don't know that one.
Never heard of that.
The Mothman Prophecies.
Oh my god.
I thought that was West Virginia. Holy shit, wait.
You would think.
Yeah, that's where the Mothman
Apparently
is from.
apparently it's set in DC.
Wow. All right.
The Purge election
Okay,
year,
okay.
as you
That's what I
Yeah.
thought was going on with that one.
Resident Evil, or no, this is it Residential Evil
What?
Retribution?
No, it
That
should be
has
to be
Resident
it.
Evil.
Residential
That has
Evil.
to be
Is
it.
that a
That's
movie?
gotta
Is
be
that
a
like a
typo.
documentary
Oh,
about
we
landlords?
gotta talk about
Or-
Elm Street here. We gotta wrap up this movie. We're way distracted.
Okay,
sorry,
Scary
Resident
Movie
Evil
3, The
tangent.
Werewolf of Washington, Zombieland, Double Tap. Okay,
Oh,
there we
okay.
go.
Okay.
So
Noah's Notes.
I recently found another trivia piece.
Okay.
Oh.
When the actor Ken Sagos, who played Kincaid, he did not want this role.
Oh.
His agent said, "You should audition for this role," and he said no. And his agent said, "Go audition for this role." So he had to walk through the rain and take the bus and walk through some more rain. So he's soaked
For a role
through.
he didn't
He has
want.
to, and he had to sit and wait, soaked, stewing, waiting for his turn. Walks in and he's just told, "Okay, just do whatever."
Oh my god.
So he just screams, "Fuck you," and then goes off about how pissed off he was about the ride and everything he had to do to get there. And that's why he got the job.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Fantastic king
'Cause
shit. Absolute king shit.
Yeah, it works for Kincaid a lot. It's the same energy.
Yeah.
you know?
That's him. That's the guy.
I loved Kincaid.
Fantastic.
Every horror movie needs a character that just is not in a smart way necessarily, but it's just gonna
Just
go
done with
off.
everyone's shit.
Mhm.
Wow.
Sexuality wrong. Overt sexuality, by the way, was causing their bad dreams. That's
Ah.
what she said.
They were all teens.
They were. They were.
Overt sexuality.
Okay, so we haven't talked about one scene that I want to talk about real quick before we talk about Noah's Notes
Yeah.
or anything else.
Please do.
So my favorite death in this movie
Yeah.
was Jennifer's death in the TV, mostly
Mm.
because I really enjoy when they re-enter the room and she's just hanging out of it. I loved
Yeah.
that visual.
That was very good.
Mm.
But I used to work at a used media store. I've talked about this before. One of the regulars that came through is a guy who is kind of just a local cryptid. I might have talked about him before too. And he comes through my new job now. I've seen him every day this week, which is weird. I usually see him like once a month. But he came into my old job one time and he was looking at Nightmare on Elm Street videos, and the only thing that he remembers about Nightmare on Elm Street is the line "Welcome to prime time, bitch."
Ah, yes. Of course.
So I'm at work, and every once in a while, this man will come up to me, and he'll be like, "This is Nightmare on Elm Street," and it's like, "Yep, that is," and he'd be like, He's like, it's Freddy Krueger. He's like, welcome to primetime, bitch. And,
Uh.
and there's like kids in the store and stuff. And I'm like, dude,
It's fine.
yeah, he really is like that,
It's
isn't
fine.
he? He really does say, welcome to primetime, bitch.
He really does. He really does.
Oh my God.
Speaking of, since it's Slashtober, we're talking about slashers, we're talking about kills. My favorite kill, I think, is Philip when he does the like marionette thing to him by pulling the
100%.
like pulling tendons out of his arms and legs. Like
Yeah.
that's Hellraiser shit. Oh my god,
It was
it's
so
good.
good.
It's good.
They held on it and extended it and just enough. That's something consistently that I've mentioned about this movie that I will reiterate. This movie does not hold back at all.
No.
It holds everything that you're like in a lesser movie they would cut away from it, and that comes down to the gore. It comes down to the use of language, talking about mental health stuff, and it comes down to the nudity. Oh
Yeah.
my God, they hold on a pair of tits for a solid like 5 seconds.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah, she's just got him
it-
out,
that's-
and
she's just got
But-
it
No schlong.
No, don't.
No,
No
no,
schlong,
not
though.
butt, Emma. Tits.
out. Shut up. Yeah, no. That was wild. That's like I put it in the group chat. I'm like, "Oh, that's the most nudity that we've seen in
Yeah.
the movie." And what I meant by that was that is the
Most egregious
Most
boob shot.
egregious boob shot. There, because most movies will like maybe it'll have more nudity, like,
Yeah.
but they will cut from it pretty quickly, or they'll like kind of artfully like drape something over parts of it or
Sure.
something. This was a woman standing in front of the camera with just bare chested
And saying,
and
do
saying,
you
"Do
like
you
my
like
body?
my body?"
Yeah. I would
and
say
I was
this is
like,
almost on
whoa.
par with the sex scene from Wolf Cop.
Yeah.
Wolf-
Wolf
that
Cop
was a
was
good
ah,
sex
fuck, I
scene.
forgot
Yeah,
about
like this
that.
is the stuff that the scene in Wolf Cop was making fun of.
So I think it is really funny to compare this to Friday the 13th because Friday was constantly getting gutted by the rating system and pulled back really hard. You can tell that Nightmare had more studio backing.
yeah.
So they were able to muscle through a lot more by saying, no, this is going to happen.
Hmm.
This is what we're doing. And like, because shit like this would never have flown in a Friday movie.
Oh fuck, never.
You know?
No.
But like Friday movies are a lot more, they're a lot more base. They're a lot more like,
Yeah, Friday the 13th
Grimy.
movies are based
They're
as
not-
hell.
Based as
Yeah,
hell,
so
bro.
Based in
but you
Jason
know, like that
Killed.
kind of stuff. Based in Jason Killed. Like, but that kind of stuff is a lot more like the music takes a back step, the story takes a back step. You are there to watch Jason kill people.
I do not
Whereas
think the
in the
music
Nightmare
takes a back
movies-
step, but okay.
Yeah, they played that one song over
yeah,
and over.
and it's good.
You can't hear, but I'm giving Jeff a very judgmental stare of, do you really think that, or are you gay?
Oh,
Both.
they're
It's
gay.
both.
Disco music.
Obviously, it's both. Like,
But yeah, but Nightmare has it has a lot more story for them to point at and be like, but look at all the story. We need this. And
Well,
there's more of a selling point to keeping in things that maybe
think-
shouldn't be there,
I
quote
think
unquote.
part of it is also that it's been ramping up in like obscenity through the movies.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like it's like this is not like if you suddenly, which it wouldn't have been suddenly. if
We
they'd been allowed
peaked
to do it
in
from the
this, by
start.
the way. This is the peak.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes. Very, very much clearly. But I think that it because like in the other movies, if you threw something like the egregious nudity or like the like intense conversations about suicide and mental
Yeah.
health into a Friday movie, 4 movies in, it would kind of come out of nowhere and kind of disrupt things. But because in the first 2 movies for Nightmare, we got a lot of like kids abusing caffeine to stay up really late. Freddy has always been obscene and is called a child murderer and an implied pedo from the like beginning. So we ran to ramp it up in this one and do these kind of things that like I think part of the justification is definitely, well, it's a Nightmare movie. Like it's a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. These people are expecting these things.
Yeah.
If they're letting their kids go into a Nightmare on Elm Street movie,
Yeah. This is the
they know
stuff
what
that's
they're getting
happening.
already.
Yeah.
yeah, if this
Mhm.
kind of stuff came out of nowhere in like a Friday movie, maybe you'd have like a leg to stand on, oh, I didn't expect this. But if you're going to Nightmare 3, the third one,
Yeah.
then you know what you're signing up for at that point.
Nightmare 3, the third
The
one.
third one.
But yeah, that's my argument in my head anyway as to why they'd be able to like get away with what they did in this
Yeah.
movie. It's just like they had set the precedent with the first two of like, no, this is a messed up little man.
Yeah.
Messed up little guy.
I am going to. You guys can keep doing discussion in a minute, but I am going to do Noah's notes real quick.
Yes, I was going.
Oh
to
yeah, because
suggest
you
that.
gotta go.
Yeah.
Speed run.
Speed run. Okay, so Noah's got some good notes already, I can tell. Noah says, baking an incredibly sinister bread loaf, and then immediately, oh, a sinister paper mache, might be. Me too.
A paper mache
I
bread
really
loaf.
thought. Bum. Noah says you can tell it's an Elm Street movie because there's already a massive amount of caffeine abuse. Also, this is just me. I think it's really funny that they established Kristen as the kind of person who would listen to Dawkins, and then she's just not really like that for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know that she listens to Dawkins. I think that she listens to loud music, and Dawkins was on the radio.
Yeah,
Okay,
fair enough.
I'll take it.
Also, I love the wallpaper in her bedroom.
It's so good,
It's neat.
honestly.
Just black with the
It's
little
neat. I
white
want more
flowers. It's cool.
wallpaper. Yeah, it was so interesting. I didn't notice it until the dream sequence that imitates the beginning of the movie, and then I was like, "Oh, has this always been the wallpaper for this room? It's cool." Yeah. Noah says, "Absent-minded Doodles here with the whole ass Elm Street house in parentheses everyone's favorite side character from the movie." Noah says, and I know he was going to talk about this already because he has the image pulled up on his phone. Noah says, apparently Snake Freddy needed a redesign because it was way too phallic at first.
What?
Now he just looks like
No.
Kingseeker Framped from Dark Souls. I don't know if you
It
guys...
still looks pretty.
Yeah, I don't
phallic.
know
It
how much
does.
more
It
phallic
does.
it possibly could have been before.
Do you guys know what Kingseeker Framped looks like?
Is
I
that the
just sent
a
picture that
picture
Noah
of
just
him.
sent to the chat?
I find Kingseeker Framp to be
It
an
does look
incredibly
like
It does.
upsetting character.
Exactly like that.
I hate him so much.
We were talking about him recently, and I don't remember why.
I don't remember why either, but
This
I
is the
really
second
don't.
appearance of Kingseeker Framped in my life in the past month.
Now-
and
I
I'm
really don't like
upset.
him. He's
Is he from?
like
Oh, it was
acutely upsetting.
What
to
is he
me.
from?
He's from Dark
Dark
Souls.
Souls. Okay.
Yeah, Dark Souls.
I remember why we were talking about him. We were talking about that Tumblr post about the dentist waiting room in hell where the fish turns and smiles with a full set of human
of
teeth and
course.
says
Oh,
you've
yeah.
been asleep for too long, or
No,
you,
yeah,
you
in
better
my
wake up
mind,
before you
The
forget.
fish's face looks like Kingseeker Framped. I hate Kingseeker Framped. Fuck that man. So
The
like
fact that
I've
his
never
name
run
is
into him in the
Framped.
game. But I just keep seeing these images of him, and he's very unnerving. I don't
Everyone
care for
Google
him.
Kingseeker Framped right now for a fun little October surprise.
He's got teeth.
He has so many teeth and a mustache.
Kind of.
Okay.
Anyways.
Anyways, Noah says, overt sexuality is causing bad dreams now. What a Catholic movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie really does try and hammer home the like Catholic
A
aspect.
little bit.
Please.
And then in other ways, it's
Please.
like we actually don't care about the Catholicism in this movie at all.
Mhm. Yeah, they tried to make Freddy into some like actual spiritual being at some point.
Instead of
And then
just
don't they try and make him into like some hell alien like shit later as well?
no.
No, it's not quite that. It's technically different.
Freddy's just a Cenobite? Is that what you're saying?
No. What?
Fred
when
Racer?
we get to when we get to Elm Street 5,
When he becomes Pinfred.
what is it? It's let me double check here real quick. We get to
Yeah, it is 5, isn't it?
nope.
No?
In Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Elm Street 6. Because Elm Street 7 is New Nightmare.
Okay.
Mm.
In Elm Street 6, we get the back lore on Freddy that we've always wanted. We didn't want
What
it.
back lore on Freddy did we want? Because
We could have
You'll
stopped
find
with what we
out
get
in Elm
this.
Street 6.
we could have stopped before
Okay.
what we got in this.
Okay.
Yes.
Noah says, I often wonder what it would be like to get hypnotized. I do often wonder that as well.
I don't really.
Personally, Emma's just sending images of Kingseeker Frank to the chat.
I love the hypnosis
just
scenes
so
in this
upsetting.
movie, actually. Like, I
I
love the
do
way that the
too.
pendulum
I love
has
it.
that, like, angled mirror on it, and then they've got the light in the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So you get that little glint
And just
every
like
time it
ding,
comes across the
ding, ding,
center.
ding.
I love that. That's really cool. That kind of
Mhm.
tipped the
I-
shiny shit section of my Giallo brain.
Me too. I was watching it the whole time.
Based and Giallo pilled.
That's
Ayo.
me.
Noah says that, and this is something we didn't talk about, but I would like to mention it real
Oh,
quick.
yeah.
Noah says that Freddy killing Taryn has to be the saddest death in this movie. Because, like, Philip was sad, but Freddy making Taryn backslide when she was doing well,
Yeah.
super bummer.
Yeah.
Also, the little, like, track mark mouths on her arm
Very creepy.
were fun special effects, but it was a really tragic death.
Yeah.
It was not really fun. A lot of the other deaths were kind of fun, and then Taryn's was just really
Just like,
sad.
oh, this is
Yeah.
horrible.
Like when Freddy killed Will, and Will tries to invoke the power of the King of the Elves, and Freddy's like, I don't believe in magic, bitch.
Yeah.
And then he kills him.
I love that
Very
it shows
funny.
that, like, the power of belief from the first movie seemingly goes both ways.
Yeah.
Because Freddy's like, I'm not scared of magic. What is this little bullshit?
Now, in
Freddy's
keeping
like, I
with
exist
that,
in your dream.
in keeping with that, I think Kincaid should have been able to defeat Freddy just by hating him and thinking that he's stupid.
I agree. I fully
Personally,
agree, because
but-
by the rules of the past movies, I fully believe in that.
Yeah.
Same with Taryn, because Taryn was ready to cut a bitch.
She was.
Um,
She did cut him.
But yeah, that's really all there is. Yeah, we've talked about almost everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
I am going to vacate the premises.
All right. Bye,
Have
Nina.
fun.
Oh, you're gone?
Yeah, I gotta get ready to go and go.
All right. Now that Nina's
give you
finally
outro
gone, we
later.
can talk
Thank
about
you.
the effects, something that she said she didn't like.
Yeah, Nina, notorious hater of effects.
Yeah. I love the
true,
room
true.
with all the mirrors.
Mhm.
Like, as people are getting sucked into them, the effect doesn't look great there, but the first time that Freddy, like, reaches out and grabs Nancy in that scene is so cool. And the way that everybody, like, falls out of the mirrors when they all break, I think is pretty neat as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was nice. Feel like they should have all seen what was happening with the mirrors and maybe moved away from the
You
mirrors.
might kind of expect that, right?
I'm trying to remember. They didn't use CG in this movie for the mirrors. That's like actual physical manipulation of like a film, not the film,
Right.
but a like film over the lens.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's interesting.
that's really
I don't remember
neat. I want to see
what
how
it
they did
was,
that.
but Wes Craven specifically in an interview said, "Yeah, CG wasn't really a thing then, so we had to make do."
Yeah. And I think it looks cool throughout. Whether it looks good or not, I don't really know for portions of it, but I think it looks cool. The whole
It
sequence
looks
is
different
neat.
at the very least.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to
I
be on
think for
guard
its time,
for.
it's well
Yeah.
done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. I love all the stop motion stuff we mentioned earlier. It's all pretty obvious stop motion, but I don't mind that.
Yeah,
It's-
the skeleton fight was fun.
Yeah, skeleton fights are always fun. I love seeing that.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
To bring it back to Philip real quick
Yeah.
and those special effects, when they introduce him, they're talking about his marionettes, and Nancy's like, "Oh, these are nice," and he's like, "Yeah, they're made out of clay. They should be made out of wood, but they won't give me a
Yeah.
knife." And it just shows that he cares about making these marionettes still, so
Yeah.
like he still takes the time and puts these things together, and like they look
Yeah, like he's
good.
putting a lot of effort into this.
And then I think honestly, it is really, really funny when the one turns into Freddy.
Yeah.
Because it's just this like formless gray clay guy that it looks so much better as soon as Freddy takes over.
Yeah. The way that
But he
that
hops down and he
process is
walks
shown
away.
gradually as well is really neat. The clay just like reshapes itself into Freddy, and you see all of it, and it's very
Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm. Heavily enjoy that. Heavily enjoy that. And I don't know. Philip's death was really just good because it helps set the tone for the rest of
Yeah.
it. Where like all these kids want to get better, but they are being haunted by a dream monster.
Yeah.
You know. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I really liked about that is none of them wanted anything bad to happen, including Philip. None of them were doing that on purpose, but in typical Elm Street fashion, no one ever believes what kids are saying. And like Emma said earlier, to like the hospital's credit, you might not believe someone who was committed to a mental institution saying, There's a dream man.
Yeah. Although, as the kids point out, nobody seems very shocked by the fact that they had all dreamed about the same guy before ever having met one another, which does
Mhm.
seem a little fishy,
But
but
you could make the
sure.
argument. You could make the argument that Freddy Krueger is a town-wide
Perhaps,
sensation,
yeah.
Mhm.
almost mythological figure.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're all dreaming about Freddy Krueger, you could explain that
Yeah, you
away,
could
I
very
think.
easily shrug it off with something like that. It's just the doctors never say that. So it's kind of like,
I don't know
Yeah.
that I don't know that Freddy as a dream entity is in a like anything that people really know about
but as a
though.
thing children should be
No, but
afraid
like the
of.
fact that there was a pedophile that like the town mobbed and burned
Yeah.
alive,
That's true.
like
Yeah, as a
It was
figure
a
for
while
children to
ago,
fear more so than anything else.
but oh, that's the thing is I don't think the children ever like these children never really knew about him
No.
because it happened in universe over 20 years ago. You know?
It couldn't have been longer than their age because Nancy says like you are the last of the Elm Street children. So I get the impression that these kids were maybe like infants at the time that it happened, whereas
Nina called
Nancy
in from
was
the other
like
room.
I don't know, like under 10 or something.
yeah,
You know?
that makes sense.
Nina called in to point out that there was at least a conversation saying, well, how about how their parents all kept it from them. And it's like,
Right,
well,
yeah.
yeah, how am I supposed to lead into that conversation anyway? Hey, mom, did you torture a guy to death?
Yeah, they do literally say
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Which, like, I wouldn't. I gotta be honest. If I had kids and I killed the local pedophile that evaded law, but we had everything stacked against him,
You'd keep your
I
mouth
don't think
shut
I'd tell
there.
my
Yeah,
kids.
the whole point of getting that done
I
is
would
that you
tell
don't
them.
really talk about it so much after.
Well, Emma, you're just built different.
Well, yeah.
I'd be like, listen,
Listen to how
I
Jer
killed a
Bear.
man for you, so you'd better
listen,
listen
Jer
to
Bear,
me.
I killed a man. Now go the fuck to bed.
I did that for
It's the
you,
same.
you little punk.
I brought you into this world. I could take you out of it.
And I
Energy,
have done
except-
it. Like,
All that to say, I really like this
it's
movie.
a good movie.
I think it's
well
fun.
done.
I think
like it.
I stand by my opinion that because of its like elements that don't age as well, it has turned the movie into a good movie of a different type.
Yeah.
You know, because I care a lot about these kids. They're kind of two-dimensional. They're kind of boring sometimes. Like Jennifer, all that we know is she wants to become a movie star and no one thinks that she's ever going to be a movie
Yeah,
star.
and that's just
And
kind
that
of
sucks for
it.
her. But also like I don't know. It's even with that, I still care about a lot of the other stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's fun.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
good shit.
Absolutely. Good
Yeah.
time. One of the only good times I've had with older movies.
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it sounds like
I'm really
Yep.
happy you liked it.
yeah. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it was just a
Yeah.
fun time.
It's kind of sounds like we're wrapping up here. So,
I think so.
yeah, so we'll be back.
What movie are we watching actually next week?
Yeah, we'll be back next week for a movie that we will not have enjoyed as much as this one, Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills.
I'm excited
Our
'cause-
enthusiasm.
I'm pretty sure I rated Halloween Kills. Let me
I remember I started Halloween Kills after it came out on HBO
Yeah.
Max.
see.
And I literally stopped and I was like, I can't watch this
Aw.
movie. And I did not like it.
I
But eventually I went back and finished it. But it really annoyed me.
for me it sits in this really odd spot of being not a good movie but a fun watch still.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I rated this the same as Halloween 2018. Let me double
Which
check.
was
Okay, Halloween 2018 I rated 9 stars. Halloween Kills I marked that I liked it and I rated it 8 stars.
ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to watch Kills again because I'm sure that I'm going to bump this down to probably like a 6.
yeah.
But I do distinctly remember having fun with the movie. But there's
Yeah.
a lot of shit that the movie does terribly.
Yeah, it's got great kills, and that's kind of all it's got going for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am curious to watch it again after watching Ends. So we'll see. But Yeah, next time we're gonna be talking about Halloween Kills. We hope you join us. I'm Emma, also known as Emma Panada. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Emma Panada. I'm also writing a TTRPG called All the Witches. You can find more information about that at allthewitches_ on Twitter.
One
And
breath.
I run the podcast account.
Yeah.
So you can follow that at Casual Horror Pod on Twitter.
Uh,
Jeff, where can we find
Well,
you?
you can find me, Jeff, on Twitter at Bubba Woobadab.
Noah, where can we find you?
Damn it, Jeff. You can find me as Bubba the Bad on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. BUBBADABAD. And what about Nina, you may ask? Well, thank goodness I can also answer that. It's Nina Wolverina or House Usher Rises for specific horror stuff on Twitter.
Nice.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Welcome to Prime Time, bitch.